everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the UpTide Nonprofit Accelerator info session. If that's what you came for, you are in the right place.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. All right, everyone, welcome. If I could just ask all participants to mute yourselves while you're not speaking. There will be a Q&A and plenty of time for you to chat, but just go ahead and put yourself on mute while we get started.
Photographs on bus shelters and outdoor.
All right.
More at
Welcome, everyone. Okay. What do we have on the agenda today? So you'll get to meet the wonderful team at SeedSpot and 92NY. We'll talk about who we are, who is 92NY, and who is SeedSpot. What is the UpTide Nonprofit Accelerator? And then we get to learn what kind of facilitation style and experience to expect from the UpTide Nonprofit Accelerator. We'll talk about qualifications, some tips for building a strong application, and everyone's favorite part, we will have about 15 to 20 minutes for a Q&A. We ask that you bring your burning questions to that Q&A. If you do have very specific questions for your nonprofit, then I'm happy to take individual calls as well. But bring your broad questions about the program, about the style, about the alumni, any of those questions you have. But before we get into all of that, let's warm up the chat, everyone. We want to hear who you all are. So type your name in the chat, where you are from, and what community you serve. Let's get that chat warmed up. All right, and we're going to go ahead and kick us off with a video we'd like to share with you all.
For 150 years, the 92nd Street Y has stood at the intersection of culture and community, a place for connection and belonging, where ideas ignite and voices rise. Leaders, luminaries, legends, the people who've shaped the world are forever part of our legacy. And for the past decade, this spirit has extended far beyond our walls through the Belfer Center for Innovation and Social Impact, where bold ideas drive change, build connection, and scale impact. Like Giving Tuesday, the global movement that's raised billions for causes worldwide. Now, we've launched UpTide, a game-changing accelerator helping community-building nonprofits reach new heights. With growth funding, a 3-year strategic plan, specialized workshops and executive coaching, a week of intensive programming in New York City, plus a chance to pitch for $25,000 live on our stage. Nearly 350 applied from 42 states and territories from every sector of change, and 5 were chosen. These are the leaders who have supercharged their impact, fueled by UpTide.
Ladies of Virtue is a mentoring and leadership program. We're all about empowering Black girls to become confident and purpose-driven leaders.
Disability Lead wants to see more leaders with disabilities in positions of power and influence, and we connect them to those opportunities in both their civic life and their professional life.
The Jewish Learning Venture nurtures family influencers to cultivate confidence in living a Jewish life in homes and in communities.
Zuni Youth Enrichment Project promotes the resilience amongst our Zuni youth so that they're growing into the strong, healthy adults connected to our traditions.
The Inherent Theater Project uses creative collaboration to open hearts, build empathy, and bring people of all backgrounds closer together.
UpTide has had an incredible impact on Ladies of Virtue. Over the next 3 years, we aim to serve over 5,000 young women and girls.
UpTide gave us the tools to be in 10 cities in the long-term future.
The impact that UpTide has had on Jewish Learning Venture has been multifold. Having the opportunity to hear from different experts in the field, each piece gave us resources that are invaluable in our toolboxes.
The impact that the UpTide Accelerator program has had on our organization has been amazing. We were actually able to develop a 3-year strategic plan, and it's just giving us so much momentum and strategy about how to move forward.
The work of UpTide isn't just making me a better leader, it's making our work more impactful in the communities that we're given the opportunity to work with around the country.
If I could describe UpTide in one word, it would be revolutionary.
Powerful, meaningful.
I would say affirming.
Empowering.
If you're a nonprofit leader considering applying to UpTide, I would say don't hold your organization back, and it is about time that your work is uplifted.
I'm really grateful for seeing us and believing in us and investing in us.
I'm really grateful to the 92nd Street Y and the Belfer Center for this opportunity to strengthen the work of Jewish Learning Venture here in Greater Philadelphia and beyond.
Amazing. I love seeing the chat going off. We have people from all over. We have Boston, we have New York, we have Memphis, we have Atlanta, all over. Welcome from all over, everyone. It's time to meet the team. Who is in this room? I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Julia, to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Rosenblum, Director of Strategy at 92NY. I've been at 92NY for 4 years, and I've been working in the strategy space for over 15 years across for-profits, nonprofits, and social enterprises. I have my MBA from Columbia Business School, and I'm going to be supporting UpTide as the Senior Strategy Advisor on the strategic plans.
Hey, everybody. I'm Matt Strauss. I'm the Senior Director of the Belfer Center for Innovation and Social Impact. I came to the 92nd Street Y a year ago from the TV world, actually, where I produced talk shows, entertainment shows, news shows, and docuseries. And one of the things that I always loved doing most about all of these shows was shining a light on people that were making a difference in their communities and also building initiatives that help people. And that's what drew me to the Belfer Center here and our mission of helping to address the crisis of community. We had a really incredible first year of our UpTide program, which you just heard from our inaugural cohort there. And we look forward to learning more about you and the incredible work that you guys are doing through the application process.
And I'm Tristan Gandolfi. I'm the VP of Programs for SeedSpot. I will be kind of leading our academic portion of this program. So I'll host all of our cohorts, help with connecting you with the experts that'll help answer and support those big burning questions you've got. I've been with SeedSpot for 10 years, and I actually started as a nonprofit founder. So I understand what it feels like to have to manage the board as well as the mission and all of the many stakeholders that you guys face every day. This is my favorite program that SeedSpot gets to partner on because you guys are creating change locally, and we get to give you space and resource to really flourish. And I get to work alongside a coworker that you've already met, I'm sure, in 15-minute meetings and info calls. I'll kick it over to Miranda.
Hi, everyone. I've met many of you. It's great to see so many familiar faces in the room. For those who haven't met me, I'm Miranda Williamson. I'm a recruiting and admissions specialist. I have 10 plus years experience in this space, bringing founders to the resources and the support that they need to thrive. So I'm really happy to play that role in your journey now.
Yeah, just a little bit about sort of the 92nd Street Y for those of you who may not be familiar with us. We're one of New York's leading cultural and community centers, and we've been bringing people together for over 150 years. What's really cool about the 92nd Street Y is that we have programs for people at every stage of life, from nursery school and summer camps to art classes and fitness and lifelong learning for older adults. And as you saw in the video, we also welcome leading artists and thinkers and people, public figures like Hillary Clinton and Oprah and Jennifer Aniston, to our stage, and other incredible people, on a daily basis. And the programs are varied, but they're all connected by the same through line, which is helping people to connect and build stronger communities.
SeedSpot is a nonprofit that works to uplift underrepresented entrepreneurs. We are on a mission to educate, accelerate, and invest in entrepreneurs who are creating solutions to problems rooted in their communities. So when you join the network of SeedSpot entrepreneurs, you join over 4,000 alumni to our programs. And once you are a participant, you are always an alumni and part of our community. And that community has collectively generated over 400 million in revenue, raised over 200 million in capital, and my favorite number, created over 11,000 jobs. As I mentioned, we work with underrepresented entrepreneurs. 84% of the entrepreneurs we've worked with identify as underrepresented.
Yeah, just a little bit about the UpTide program. So it's our accelerator for community building nonprofits that are ready to grow their impact. And we created the program in response to the crisis of community and to support leaders who are already doing the work of bringing people together. So our goal is really to help strengthen what you've built and help take it along with you to the next level. So unlike a traditional fellowship, which often focuses on the individual leader, UpTide supports both the leader and the organization. So we're looking for nonprofits with a proven model and a clear vision for growth. This is our second year running the program, bringing together a cohort of 5 nonprofit CEOs, executive directors, or presidents, and connecting them with coaching, expertise, and other resources. Most of the programs are going to take place virtually from January through April, followed by an in-person showcase in May. And at the showcase, our cohort will have the chance to pitch for an additional $25,000 in funding. Think of it sort of like a philanthropic version of Shark Tank. And you saw a little bit of it there in our video with our last year's recipient on stage with her check. A little bit about the Belfer Center for Innovation and Social Impact in general. We're probably best known for creating Giving Tuesday. It was launched here at the 92nd Street Y and has since grown into its own nonprofit, which has generated billions of dollars for causes worldwide. We also lead several other community building initiatives. Women in Power helps women reach the next level of leadership in their careers. Share Our America brings people together across differences through conversations and through shared experiences. And all of this work has one clear goal, which is to help strengthen communities and create more opportunities for people to connect.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about this unique program's outcomes. We heard from the 5 participants last year, our cohort last year, but we also want to really showcase some of the elements that make this unique. I think most importantly, 100% of our cohort, so that's 5 of 5, develop these meaningful relationships through the accelerator. And it goes one step further. It's not just with experts within the industry, it's not with their mentors, with each other. A couple of them have even collaborated to launch pilots across that cohort. They are creating an impact together. They feel like this cohort helped them strengthen their communication and their pitching skill set. I mean, obviously they pitch at the end for $25,000, but think about as a founder, how often, or as an executive director, you're having to pitch to a donor, to a board member, to the community, to a partner. And in this program, we kind of refine those key elements depending on who that audience is so that you're polished and ready to go. 100% plan to implement what they've learned through the program. So every class we have custom built based on the feedback of the industry, what nonprofits are really struggling with right now today, as well as all of the feedback from last year's cohort. In fact, this year's curriculum has been pivoted or iterated to meet the needs of this year's cohort. 100% are confident in the direction of their organization post-program. And I'd love to say it's because of their strategy sessions with Julia, which is totally true. But it also has to do with they came up with marketing strategies. They came up with language to build a stronger board. And so everything you're working on in this cohort, the goal is they're skills that you'll use today. So as being part of this program, even if you don't win the $25,000, you walk away with a toolkit and resources that will help this organization grow. All right, so what can you expect with this kind of online or hybrid programming? So we call it hybrid because, as you heard in the video, we have this week of intensive learning and experience in New York at the end of the program. So all of our classes, they're bi-weekly, will be held on Zoom, much like today. And those classes are 90 minutes each. And the goal is that you can attend all of them, right? Because there's not very many of them. But as we mentioned, they're very helpful for the work that you're doing. We also design our classes to be a workshop style. So the opposite of what I'm demonstrating right now. We'll go into breakout sessions. You'll have questions that you'll get to iterate with your peers. You'll work on assets with mentors and experts in these breakout rooms. We want every class to feel meaningful and purposeful. You'll have digital and interactive tools that you can use. I like to think of them as kind of a toolkit that you can come back to every year as you check your strategic plan, or maybe as you roll out a new initiative. We also have wraparound support. So what that means is office hours with me, as well as we'll have a mentor in residence. So the mentor in residence is a person who's connected to the nonprofit community, but potentially a couple steps ahead. They're managing a larger or maybe national nonprofit. We are in the process right now of searching for that perfect candidate, but we're giving you access to a person who understands what it's like when suddenly a federal funded grant disappears, and how do you have to survive and strategize in that climate. You'll also have a one-on-one coach that will work with you on some of the things that you call out in your applications as things you're really working through. They could be roadblocks, or they could just be something that you haven't had time to dedicate to because you've been working so rapidly at fundraising or building a team. So the overall, our online program is for 4 months. We meet regularly online, and it all culminates in that final week in New York. Hey, Miranda, who's this program for?
I'm going to pass this off to our experts over at 92NY.
I'm happy to take this one. So first up, your organization must be a US-based nonprofit organization with a 501c3 tax-exempt status in good standing. Your organization's mission and programming addresses the crisis of community, the growing disconnection at the root of many of the challenges our communities face. In terms of program impact, so the organization directly serves at least 500 people, or a meaningful portion of the population it serves, and you've implemented at least one proven intervention, with at least 1 year of positive impact data that demonstrates that you're achieving the desired outcome. In terms of scalability, you have a replicable model that is making a meaningful impact in the community it serves and is ready to scale. And your finances and team should be in a place that is ready for meaningful growth. And the person attending the program must be the executive director, CEO, president, or equivalent title. And the organization is the full-time job of that person.
Great. Now my area of expertise, the application process. So many of you haven't submitted your applications yet, and you're probably wondering, what does this process look like? So you're at the first step, which is you're attending the info session. This info session is meant and designed to help set you up for success for the application process and the process that follows. So here you are, you're at the info session. The next goal is to submit your application. So it is an online application. And hopefully a lot of the questions in the application will not be tedious. There'll be things you've answered before, and you can, for example, pull your mission from your website, that type of thing. There are some specific questions that are unique to this program. So you'll answer those questions, complete the application. We review it as a team. SeedSpot and 92NY reviews it. It's a holistic review process. So we look at all components of your application. We then make a selection to those who meet the qualifications to join a 30-minute interview. When you join that interview, it'll be us. We're not scary. You've now met us. Then you can take away some of the nervousness if you are lucky enough to be invited to that stage of the journey. Then you'll be looked at for program fit. We'll look at how you interviewed. We'll look at your application. We'll look at how you answered the questions, all components. And that's when we then offer an acceptance. So that's the cycle. And the final acceptances come out at the end of October. So now, how do you build a strong application? I get asked this question a lot, and I'd love to just remove some mystery for you all. Some pitfalls to avoid. So do not answer the questions with only one sentence. You are given about 250 words to answer these questions. Use that space. And it's almost harder given that limited amount of words to use because every word counts. And because of that, grammar is actually important. We often refer to your application for nominating folks for other programs, perhaps, or for elevating your work on our socials. And your application will be the first place we go to time and time again. So it is actually important that you make sure you pay attention to creating a strong one. So tips for a strong application. Be specific. So the strongest applications are very specific. And what I mean by that is when you're talking about the community you serve, being specific about who that community is, how many folks are in that community that and can possibly be impacted by your work, that specificity is going to be really valuable. Don't lose sight of the prompts. We have specific prompts for specific reasons, and it's quite important that you keep track of what the prompt is and don't get a little bit lost in the weeds there. We love your personal story. What drives you to do this work? What makes you the leader in your organization that you are? We really want to know that personal story. We'll be working very closely with you, the leader of your nonprofit, the executive director, and we want to know a little bit about who you are. And then, final tip, submit your application early. I don't mean that you have to go submit it today or tomorrow and rush through it. By all means, take the time you need to build a strong application, but don't leave it till the last minute. The reason I say this is because if there are an issue, and I have had issues where folks forgot to fill out a question and went forward and forgot to go back and complete it. And if I have time, I'll go back and ask you, hey, you're missing a question. Was that intentional, or would you like the opportunity to answer it? But if it's up until the deadline, we're at crunch time and we may not have that time. But if you leave a week, I promise you, we'll reach out if there are any issues. Now, everyone's favorite part, our Q&A. We've left plenty of time to take all of your burning questions. So Tristan, you can stop sharing your screen now. I do want to remind everyone here that this will be recorded. So if you have anything you would not like to be recorded, don't share it in this space. We can take that offline, but this is a recorded space. So I want you all to use your raise hand feature on your Zoom to raise your hand with your question, and then I'll ask you to come off mute and ask your question. And we have our panel of experts, which include Julia, Matt, and Tristan, who will be answering your questions. I have a first hand raised. Ariella, go ahead and unmute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm curious if you can share whether there's a threshold that you consider as scalable, whether in terms of participants or the size of a budget of an organization. How can you help us think about readiness as you guys see it?
I'm happy to take
Julia,
that.
would you like to take this question?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one. Because I worked last year very closely with the 5 nonprofits on their strategic plans. And I can say, I say for budget wise, the nonprofits that were under $1 million were not necessarily ready to make some of the like strategic choices because they were still in the function of maybe not necessarily having like a team that could operationalize the strategic plan. They're still kind of like chasing every dollar. That said, our one organization that was, I think, 500K range approximately, was amazing and was able to latch on to every opportunity and really like used the time to help grow his organization. So if you're in that like 500 to 1 million, shoot your shot, like make it clear of what you think as like why you should be in the program, what you're gonna get from it, that you understand, you know, how your team is gonna operationalize the learnings. But I would say, you know, if you have a team of 2 and every day you're focused on spending 12 hours a day putting on your program, this probably is not the right time for you this year, and we'll see you next year.
Great. Thank you, Julia. Sabrina, would you like to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. Thank you so much. I feel like it was kind of answered from that last one, but just wanted to clarify what a proven intervention means to you all, being like a newer organization, having the year of programming and positive testimonials, but wanting to know if you had specific indicators of success that you all look for.
Yeah, so we're happy to take whatever data you have and are willing to share that shows that you're having a positive impact in your community. One question was around the 500 people I saw in the chat, so I can also talk about that at the same time. We know some communities are very small, and so they would, even if they reached 100%, they would never reach 500 people, which is why we have the caveat of a meaningful proportion of the community. Other communities, like if I was, you know, I'm in New York City, I'm not gonna reach 90% of New York City. So 500 is like a good, you know, number to show that I'm having impact in New York City. You do not need to have, you know, clinically proven data that yours has long-term impact, you know, 17 years from now, you've like really impacted the lives of these children. I would say whatever data you have that you can use to tell the story of why your community is having a positive impact, please add that to your application. Please add, you know, stories, any like anecdotes that you have. Also, we love, there's a whole section to kind of toot your own horn and say any like positive things that, like, there's a section for those stories specifically, so like please put those in as well.
Yeah, like if you were doing something on like for, you know, if you were running a nonprofit to help first generation college students, for example, you might show that you served, you know, 1,000 students over the last year. 90% of those students remained in the program. You know, a certain percentage of those went off to college. So any data that you could share would be great.
And I will say also, just to add to that, is if you're unsure if you meet the qualifications, I encourage you to just apply. There's nothing bad that can come from submitting your application and putting your name in. If you're like, I'm on the fence, I'm a little bit below, or I'm in the lower end, you can go ahead and give it a try. We do not hold it against folks. We actually encourage folks to apply year after year. And we at SeedSpot are really, we're really good about reviewing applications and keeping folks up to speed if we hear of other opportunities that might be a better fit to go ahead and get the support that you need. So I encourage you to apply.
Yeah, and if
So
you
I'll take,
feel like you're at like 90% of the application, like you hit all the things that are like the must-haves, like you have to be US based, doing work in the US. We're just not set up at the moment for like international work. If you are the CEO or ED or equivalent title, which there's a lot of conversation in the chat happening about that. If you are a community building nonprofit, such that you're tackling the crisis of community, but you're at like 400 people or 300 or whatever, please apply. Like, we're flexible in the things that we can be flexible. We're looking for 5 amazing organizations.
correct. Absolutely. And it is a holistic review process. We are not like a law school where you don't meet minimums and so where your application is thrown out. That's not how we do this review process here. So, Jonathan, I'll go ahead and ask you to unmute and ask your question.
Thank you for this opportunity. Two related questions. Is it appropriate or reasonable to have the senior leadership team of our organization joined in those virtual sessions? And related to that, can you say something about the homework, so to speak, that you'll be recommending or requiring between sessions?
Tristan, this is a Tristan question.
Yeah, of course. So I have basically a scope and sequence of all of the classes. And with that, I have suggested pre-work to maximize the learning sessions as well as kind of follow-up. And then paced throughout classes, we have that one-on-one too, right? So if you would want to check before coming to class or if you need clarity about something, but you will get the full kind of scope of what's needed, when it's needed, by when it's needed before the program even kicks off. And I will say, I make that sound so super buttoned up, but I haven't met our 5 people yet, right? So there might be uniquely a resource or a conversation or maybe a bit of curriculum that we build after we meet you. So some of it, there might be, give me a little grace and flexibility, but for the most part, I have it kind of charted out.
Great. Lisa, you are up next.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you. Miranda, thank you for calling me and saying, try again, because I did apply for this last year, and in a year, I feel like we have grown so much, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity because I'm in such a different place now in terms of our organization. And I feel, I don't know, I'm just very grateful to have this opportunity again. So thank you for that encouragement and that support. And I'm super excited. My second questions are all practical because I am technologically illiterate. Sorry. Is it possible to please, is there a downloadable? I have downloaded the form in a Word doc so that I can practice it and then of course upload it. Is there one that has the word counts that's possible to download? And I know there was a schedule and everything, and all that part is wonderful and good. And that's all.
I have
I'm
a
just really
copy.
grateful.
I have a copy that I can send you in, Lisa, I can send you in Word so you can
Oh,
do
that'd be
the word
great.
counts.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that. Thank you so
Great.
very much. I'm a bit
Great.
dyslexic and my brain just processes words differently. So that's just super helpful for me. So thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem at
The
all.
word counts in the application itself should be enough for you to, this isn't like SAT, where you're like, oh, I have to get down to like 300 words. It should give you enough to, really tell your story.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Great. Dr. Cat, you're up next.
Thank you. And yes, I would also love to get a hard copy of the questions and word counts in advance and kind of plan this out. Although I was very optimistic about this program until I heard the answer to the first question. And I don't know if you guys would consider at some point having something for people in that 50K to 500K range, because the costs of developing a nonprofit have plummeted as there are more and more online systems that can automate some of the things that people normally have to hire a lot of people for. In our case, we work with waterpreneurs, water startup founders who are often, there is that huge gap between investable that all the investors want to support and and especially for over 40s who can't get hired anywhere, including all the former feds and former federal grant recipients and whatnot. A lot of us are just not able to continue working in water unless we become waterpreneurs. And I haven't been able to do things like Seed Spot and some of the other entrepreneurial programs that I become a mentor for because they don't work with nonprofits. So anyway, I guess I just, we have been punching way above our weight class using systems that allow us to produce top events. And as soon as we get close to that 50K, one of the large, big blue, big green nonprofits, government contractors, government grant recipients, whatever, or big philanthropist supported organizations basically takes what we do and copies it or says that they're copying it. And so
do you have some concerns whether you qualify or not?
Well,
I'm happy to take
I mean,
a one-on-one
yeah, I mean,
call
I'm
with you
happy to
where
do
we
a
can chat it
one-on-one,
through.
but if
Yeah.
500K, if we can do more without 500K in revenue, I don't know if, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take us to get 500K if we keep, running into the same things happening over and over again, where the utilities pick their favorite contractor to copy and paste our stuff. So yeah, I'd be happy to do a one-on-one, and I'd love to see the and for the folks
Great.
from
I'll drop
UpTide,
my link in the chat, and we
if you
can take a
guys would be
one-on-one.
willing to consider for next year something for those who don't hit that 500K yet, it's the same thing in the startup space for nonprofits
Yeah.
as for profit.
Great. Let's chat. Evan, you are up next. Evan. Oh, is Evan frozen? Looks like Evan's frozen. Kelly, we'll go to Kelly.
Hi, I was wondering if you might be able to share a little bit more about the last cohort, and maybe specifically what was it that made you choose them?
That's a great question.
Oh, wonderful.
So I would say we were really looking for organizations that had their like ear to the ground in their specific community. So like, we're not experts everywhere. For example, like Zuni Youth Enrichment Project, like we don't know what's best for the Zuni youth, but Talia does. And so we're looking for people who were very like tapped into the community that they were in, or somehow had like a personal connection to what they were working on. The person should have a clear understanding of what they were looking to get out of the program. It's a 4-month program, so that's not a lot of time to you kind of have to just hit the ground running and be willing to make those connections, take every workshop for what it's worth, really dive in and give it its all. People that, are going to try to build those connections with the other cohort members. In terms of organizations, we're looking for ones that did have the data proving, like showing positive impact in their communities. Inheritance Theater Project had worked in X number of communities and reached X number of people, and coming out of those surveys, they had, Y% of people said that they felt better about, someone of a different background, things like that. A lot of it, honestly, so to be very frank with you, we got 350 applications. We read through every single one of them. At some point, since it's only 5 people in 5 organizations, we wanted a cohort that was not natural competitors to each other. So we weren't going to pick 2 NYC performing arts organizations. We wanted to have a broad range in there so there could be that kind of shared learning. And so for some of the spots, it came down to, we have 10 organizations from New York. We're not going to have a cohort of 5 that's all New York organizations. We have to cut down. We have 20 performing arts organizations. We're not going to have a cohort of 5 performing arts organizations. We have to cut down. So it was very, very difficult last year. The applications are one piece of it, and then the interviews is really where like your personality can also come out, and that can shine through. So I would say like we really look holistically at the cohort and the individual that's coming in. So, if you applied last year and didn't make it, it might have just meant that last year the cohort, you didn't fit into that portfolio of cohort. You might fit perfectly into this portfolio of cohort.
Well,
thank you.
well answered, Julia.
I want to give Evan
All
a chance
right.
to get frozen earlier.
Oh, Evan, yes, you froze earlier. Would you like to take the opportunity to ask your question?
Yes, I'm sorry. First and foremost, thank you, 902 New York Foundation for the opportunity. So my question was basically, how does the 992 New York Foundation approach demographic representation when evaluating nonprofit partnerships?
In terms of who's gonna be in the cohort?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so we do look to have a diverse cohort in terms of geographic, ethnic, the types of communities you're reaching as well. We're looking for, you know, diversity in all senses, from everything from like how you present, also to the people that you're reaching, the type of intervention you're having. So I was saying before, we're not gonna have 5, performing arts, we're not gonna have like 5 mentorship. We wanna have a broad range of, so that you can get the most from your cohort members as well. If they're all exactly the same as you, it's not gonna be as valuable of a program.
Perfect. That answers my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. All right, we have Vault Metro Women's Business. Will you go ahead and unmute? And what is your name as a human?
Hey everyone, my name is Gabrielle. Sorry,
Hi,
the
Gabrielle.
name kind of just defaults itself. But pleasure to be here with you all. I had a question on just the specifics about the delegation of funds. It didn't say anything, at least from what I could see, on like any restrictions or anything like that. So can you just elaborate on what funds, you guys are looking to fund if people are awarded, and then what funds may not be inclusive in that?
Yeah, so the $5,000 grant, which is given to every participant for completing the program, is an unrestricted grant. You can use it for anything. And then the 25,000, if you win the $25,000 grant through the showcase, that's also an unrestricted grant. We understand the importance of unrestricted grants.
Got that. Okay. Thank you so much. I think that was my only question for now.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Gabriella. Hannah Natu, will you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, thank you so much. This was so it's so awesome just to be in this space and to hear more about this opportunity. So thank you. I think my question may be a little redundant, so please forgive me. I'm happy to also hop on a one-on-one, but this was my first time hearing about budget qualifications, and I think for me, that's something I would need more clarity on. I would appreciate more clarity on. So for organizations that are still building their revenue base, but have strong community partnerships and in-kind support that amplify their impact. So for example, if you've already served 500 youth this year, but your budget's like not nowhere close to 500K, that signals to me that you have strong partnerships and people who are willing to support your impact. How is that considered or factored into the evaluation process?
Great question. I would say make your case for why you will still be able to use the learnings coming out of the program and how you'll be able to operationalize the strategic plan. So, you know your organization best, you know what you can achieve. If you're one person and have a bunch of volunteers that you can't really rely on, when we have a workshop about communication or about PR, that might be difficult to operationalize. If you look at the we have kind of the topics for the various workshops. If you feel confident that the learnings coming out of those, you're like, our team can make this happen, then don't be thrown off by a revenue number. I'm giving guidelines for what kind of makes sense, but if you can show that you have a dedicated team that can make it happen, and your strategic plan will focus. You don't need to know what your plan is going to focus on right now, but if you're if you tell me that that coming out of the plan, we need to hire a development officer, we're going to go hire that development officer. We can make that happen. Versus we have $20,000 revenue. we could never hire a development officer. Like, that's just not a feasible thing. That's kind of prove your case, you know?
I love that. Thank you so much. That's actually very encouraging. So thank you.
And I do truly mean it. Like, we, last year, we did not give any revenue range, and a lot of people asked for it, which is why we kind of came up with it this year. Most organizations were in the, like around $1 million to 1.5. The organization that was 500K was amazing and was able to figure out to be quite honest with you, we struggled a little bit with the strategic plan of how to operationalize because the team was small, but they were so dedicated that they were able to make it happen. So if you can show that you're dedicated, you're gonna make it happen, then like, please, we are willing to take swings.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Zarifa, will you go ahead and unmute?
Hi, thank you so much for the info session and for this program. I have two questions. One question is that the organizations that are based in the US, but they work with artists worldwide, and their main focus is other countries that are under like different societal issues that they are facing. Are those organizations eligible for this program? And second question is that if they have not had big revenues since the starting of these their organizations, is that a minus point to their organization and they should have like big revenues in order to be eligible for this? Thank you so much.
I wouldn't say that revenue is a minus point. I would say that if you kind of are the lower end, if you're below the range or lower end of the range, I would just make your case of why someone in the chat said why you punch above your weight. Please like put your best foot forward, like make your case. We really honestly do read every single application. All Miranda, Matt, and I all read every application, so like it gets a good review. And there's not anything that we look at and we're like, oh, cross it off because of this one thing. We look at it holistically. To the question of international, that's a little bit of a harder question because our skills and the experts that we're going to be bringing in the workshops are mostly US focused. And I know that other countries, other communities outside of America can have just like different challenges, like their PR challenges can be different, their communication challenges can be different. So if you think that the topics that we have are similar across both things and you are US based, then we're happy to review. If you think, oh, well, there's like specifics to working in this country that you just wouldn't understand as a fully like US focused program, then I would say this probably is not the right program, to be honest.
Great. Elida.
Hi, thank you. It's Alita, but it's okay. Everybody says something
Alita.
different. Alita. So I have two questions. First of all, thank you very much for having this informational session. I learned about this early this morning and was so happy that I could register and be able to participate in this session. So I think it was Jonathan Tobin who kind of had a question and I didn't really kind of hear the answer. But I think he wanted to know, could others participate as well in the virtual? But my question is a little different. Stuff happens and sometimes you may not be able to make one session. Is there an opportunity to bring a backup or to have someone kind of stand in your place if you're unable to make one session or whatever?
I'll let Tristan take this question.
Yeah, I'll dive in. I think, yes, absolutely. Life happens and flexibility is necessary. All of our classes will be recorded. I think if you think about it, I'll use an analogy. The classes are kind of like Legos that stack on top of each other to make for a stronger business. And so if you're sending somebody in place of you, but they're not the decision maker, is that helping the organization, and how then do you fill the gap, right? How do they either manage or own that? How do they drive forward on leadership with whatever that class was about? How do they then maybe distill that to you? So just making sure that if there is somebody who has to step in, and we've had before, life. We've been doing the Seed Spot's been doing this work for about 15 years, and we have worked with entrepreneurs that have life happen all the time. I think for me, it's the transfer of knowledge and application of knowledge, right? And so, how do we make sure that we drive that forward?
Yeah, I would say in the sort of put it kind of clearer in the strategic plans, you're welcome to bring your senior team or whoever needs to be in those meetings in order to make a valuable strategic plan. I personally feel like strategic plans are not that helpful when it's like one person in a vacuum making it and telling the organization what to do. So I think last year's cohort, every organization brought different people into different strategic plan meetings based on who needed to be there, and that was fantastic, and everyone was stronger for that. For the workshops, most of them are strictly the cohort, like the leaders themselves. And part of that also is because you guys are gonna be sharing at the beginning of each session. We kind of share our wins and our challenges from since the last session. And that helps with the bonding. And if there's like a new person in the room, sometimes CEOs are just not as open to sharing some of the challenges that they've had if there's someone that's like, not really in the same position. So we want to also be respectful of the other cohort members that are there. Some of the workshops do obviously make sense to bring someone else. So like, when we have the PR workshop, if you have someone that's like your media or marketing person, bringing that person. So we'll make it clear where it's open for visitors as well.
Thank you. So I had a second question. You learned from every experience and you had your first cohort last year. Were there any major lessons learned or any major changes to that cohort that is coming into the new year?
Yeah. So the biggest one from the application point of view was kind of giving more structure around the ranges. That's why we gave like revenue ranges and number of people you've impacted type ranges, just to kind of help you guys, but where it's not helpful, please like ignore them. From the program, like from the workshops, last year we had a session around board management and board engagement. And the organizations were able to bring their board members to that session. We got mixed feelings about that. In general, everyone really liked it, but they had requested then a new session that like wouldn't have fit in. So we've removed the board one and we replaced it with the one that they've been like, this would have been a better use of that time. So yeah, we made some changes to things. We've also made some changes to NYC week. The showcase itself is going to be very similar, but some of them asked for more practice time and more time to run through. So we made tweaks there as well.
Thank you.
And we do also make changes as it goes. So like last year, we do surveys after every workshop, and we got feedback like, oh, we'd like to have more time to just kind of socialize and discuss our own things. And so we added more time. They said we would love a session on this. And so we added an optional session on that thing, and everyone ended up showing up because they thought it was really valuable. So like we're looking for leaders that are going to come to the cohort and shape it also to be what they want it to be.
Great.
Thank you.
Intentional.
I have a question. Yeah, it's great. I have a question in the. Sorry. I have a question in the chat I would like us to get to, which is, will there be a neurodivergent cohort this year or in the future? We welcome different learning abilities, so we definitely welcome folks with specific learning needs or who are neurodivergent to apply to this program. Tristan, do you have any?
Yeah, I will also add a couple different things. Last year, disability leads was a part of the cohort, right? And a lot of the changes we made to how information is given, when it's given, how it's processed was because of, making sure that we're supporting all of our participants fully. SeedSpot, in our pre-survey before our programs, we ask questions like, how do you prefer to learn? How do you process that learning so that we can make sure that we're giving access or tools so that everybody can show up as their best selves. I know, for example, some people like to pre-read and be exposed to it before class. Some people find that overwhelming. So we give those opportunities so people can choose their right fit and make the most out of this program. But as far as a cohort entirely being individuals that identify as neurodivergent, well, that is not in this program, but we do make the program accessible based on and not just, I mean, for everybody, right? Regardless of processing knowledge, we make sure that everybody feels welcome in our classes. And that's also with our experts, our mentors, our stakeholders. It's at the ethos of both 92NY and SeedSpot. And so, and again, as Julia mentioned, if there's opportunity for us to improve, that dialogue stays open the entire cohort.
And I think that might
Great.
also been a question about, so there's Women in Power, which is another Belfer Center program, which is for women, and that is there's two kind of tracks, cohorts to that. And one of them is a specifically neurodivergent cohort.
Amazing.
Different program.
Great. Well, we have about 2 minutes left. Dr. Kat, if you want to get your question in.
Very quick follow-up to Lita and Jonathan's question, and sorry if I created any confusion about mentioning the women in cohort, the neurodivergent cohort. Anyway, so sounds like the program is really, and with only 5 people, it makes a lot of sense that everyone shows up. It makes a lot of sense that it's kind of mastermind-ish of being able to share your wins and bonding as a group. But when it comes to it, which is much better than a lot of the virtual accelerators, they're just content, right? But for the part that is content in that, is that something that's recorded and would be shareable if we don't want to have to do an interpretive dance of what we learned last week when we talked to our board or other leadership?
Great question. Tristan, do you want to answer that question in 2 minutes?
You got it. Yes. How's that? Lickety split.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Tristan. All right, all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what is next, what to expect next. All right. Great. All right. So what's next? Now that you've attended this info session, so in our little diagram, you were at that first little step in the journey. The next step is to submit your application. I will follow up with the recording of this session, as well as that document that has all the application questions that you all can do a practice application if you'd like. And I will have a document about all of the sessions as well. That was also requested in our conversation today. So I'll follow up to everyone here. So apply by Monday, August 31st, 2026. That is our final application deadline. So you'll receive a notification if you are moved to the next stage of the journey, or if you are not moved to the next stage of the journey by early October. Well, we will identify our final cohort and they'll be notified by late October. Great. So that concludes our session for today. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your time and energy, and everyone for being camera on and so engaged. It makes this a much more welcoming space to be able to see you all and connect with you all in this virtual conversation. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you.